The United Nations Security Assembly Hall had never been this full. Every nation sent representatives. Every major military and scientific leader was present. Ambassador He-jin stood at the podium and looked at the faces staring back at her. She had been a diplomat for 30 years, but nothing in her career had prepared her for this moment. The message from Captain Taman was clear, she said. Her voice was steady even though her hands wanted to shake. An alien force called the Council is coming to Earth. They gave us 30 days. Now we have 28 days left. They are bringing 500 warships. They will demand our complete surrender. If we refuse, they will attack. The room erupted with voices. Questions and arguments flew from every direction. He-jin waited for the noise to die down. When it did not, she raised her voice. We have a choice to make. Submit and become slaves or fight and risk everything. I need to know what humanity decides. The vote was not even close. Every nation agreed. Earth would not kneel. Earth would fight. The Dauntless was still 6 days from home when the Council fleet started chasing them again. Taman had hoped they would give up, but he should have known better. The alien ships were faster over long distances. They were catching up slowly but surely. They will reach firing range in 40 hours, Bo-Ra reported. She had not slept in 2 days. None of them had. We can try more evasive moves, but we are running low on power. Dr. Yan-hee, how are our people holding up? Taman asked. The doctor's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but determined. Injuries from the first fight are healing, but the crew is exhausted. We need rest soon or we will start making mistakes. Taman knew she was right, but they could not rest, not yet. We rest when we reach Earth. Until then, we keep moving. Sang-woo had been working on something for hours. Now he looked up with excitement in his eyes. Captain, I have been thinking. Why does the Council want to catch us so badly? We are just one ship. We escaped from them once. Doesn't that make them look weak? What are you getting at? Taman asked. What if I broadcast that message to everyone? What if I tell the whole galaxy that humans refused the Council and escaped? Their other conquered species might start asking questions. Sang-woo pulled up his work. I can send messages on thousands of frequencies. Someone will hear them. Bo-Ra looked worried. That might make them even more angry at us. They are already planning to destroy Earth, Sang-woo said. How much more angry can they get? Taman thought about it. The young communications officer had a point. If the Council was this aggressive toward one ship, what had they done to other species? Do it. Tell everyone what happened. Make sure they know humans refused to submit. Over the next day, Sang-woo's messages spread across Council space. He told the story simply and clearly. One human ship had entered unknown space. The Council demanded immediate surrender. The humans refused and escaped. Now the Council was bringing 500 ships to punish Earth for saying no. The messages reached 40,000 worlds. Most ignored them, but some listened. Some wondered. And on 18 worlds, species who had been conquered long ago started to remember what freedom felt like. On Earth, the preparations were massive. Every shipyard worked without stopping. Every factory that could make weapons or armor was converted to military production. Earth's Space Navy had 43 combat vessels. They were designed to defend against pirates and settle mining disputes, not fight galactic wars. But they were all humanity had. Ambassador Hai-jin met with Admiral Park, the commander of Earth's defense forces. He was a serious man in his 60s with gray hair and steady eyes. He laid out the tactical situation on a large display. We cannot win in direct combat, he said bluntly. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. One Council ship could probably destroy 3 of ours. 500 Council ships against 43 human ships is not a battle. It is an execution. Then we do not fight a direct battle, He-jin said. Captain Taman escaped them by being unpredictable. His reports show their ships move in perfect formations and fire in patterns. They expect everyone to follow rules. So we break the rules, Admiral Park said slowly. A small smile appeared on his face. We fight like humans, not like aliens. The Dauntless reached Earth with the Council fleet 2 days behind them. The exploration ship was damaged and exhausted, but they had made it home. Captain Taman and his crew received a hero's welcome. But there was no time for celebration. Taman met with Admiral Park and Ambassador Hai-jin immediately. He shared everything he learned about the Council ships, their weapons, their tactics, their weaknesses. They are powerful but predictable, he told them. They think primitive means stupid. We need to show them they are wrong. Lieutenant Bo-Ra was given command of the Tactical Coordination Center. She worked with Earth's best military minds to develop new strategies. Everything was based on chaos and unpredictability. No formation flying. No pattern attacks. Every ship would act independently but work together. It would be organized chaos, and the Council would not know how to respond. Engineer Hyun-sik worked with Earth scientists and engineers. They studied every piece of data from the first encounter. They could not match Council technology, but they could find ways to counter it. Their shields are strong against energy weapons, Hyun-sik explained. But they seem to assume everyone uses energy weapons. What if we use old-fashioned kinetic weapons? Missiles, railguns, even just big chunks of metal moving really fast. It was crazy enough to work. Earth's factories started producing thousands of simple but effective kinetic weapons. They would not be elegant, but they would hit hard. Dr. Yan-hee made a discovery that would change everything. She had been studying the biological data from damaged Council ships, the atmosphere samples, the equipment designs, even the spacing of the ship corridors. She realized something important. The Council species are not like us, she told the command staff. Their bodies show signs of genetic modification. Everything about them is optimized for peace and compliance. I think they were engineered to not fight. But they are bringing 500 warships, Admiral Park said. Yes, but look at their crew requirements. Each ship needs 3 times the crew of a human ship. They need specialists for everything because their people cannot adapt quickly. And their stress response is different. Humans can function in high-stress combat for hours. I think Council species might have trouble with prolonged chaos. This was huge information. Bo-Ra immediately started updating tactics. If the Council crews could not handle stress and chaos, then that is exactly what humans would give them. Sang-woo continued his broadcasts. More and more messages came back from across the galaxy. Some were warnings. Some were encouragement. A few offered secret information about Council forces. On dozens of worlds, underground movements were forming. The humans' refusal to submit was inspiring others to think about freedom again. The Council overlord, Thex Prime, heard about the broadcasts. He was ancient and powerful, ruler of the Council for 800 years. He had never faced real opposition before. His orders were absolute and unquestionable. The humans' defiance was more than a military problem. It was a threat to the entire Council system. If other species started to think they could refuse orders, the Council's control would collapse. Increase the war fleet to 500 ships, he commanded. Bring the World Destroyer-class vessels. When we finish with Earth, there will be nothing left but dust. The galaxy will see what happens to species who refuse to obey. Commander Vren, the military leader assigned to the operation, felt doubt for the first time in his long career. He had studied the reports from the first encounter. The human ship was small and primitive, yet it had disabled 3 Council vessels and escaped from 15. That should have been impossible. The more he learned about humans, the more he worried. These creatures were different. They were from a high-gravity world with extreme conditions. They had evolved as predators, and they had never learned to submit to anyone. Overlord, perhaps we should try negotiation first, Vren suggested carefully. The humans clearly have courage. If we could bring them into the Council peacefully, their traits might be valuable. No. Thex Prime's voice was final. They must be made an example. The galaxy must know that the Council's word is absolute. Prepare for immediate attack when we arrive at Earth. No warnings, no chances to surrender. We destroy their military and their leadership in the first strike. Then they will learn to obey. Vren bowed and left to prepare the fleet, but the doubt stayed with him. In 800 years, the Council had never destroyed an entire species. They had conquered, modified, and controlled them, but never complete destruction. The humans had changed something fundamental. They had made the Council afraid. On Earth, the final preparations were complete. 43 human vessels took positions throughout the solar system. The asteroid belt was prepared with hidden weapons and traps. Mars colonies were evacuated. Every human ship was ready to fight to the last. Captain Taemin took command of the Dauntless one more time. His ship was repaired and rearmed. Lieutenant Bo-Ra was at her tactical station. Engineer Hyun-sik was in engineering. Dr. Yeon-hee stood ready in medical. Sang-woo was at communications. The stars looked different this far from home. Captain Taemin stood on the bridge of the Dauntless and watched the screen show a view that no human had ever seen before. His ship had traveled further than any vessel in Earth's history. Behind him, the crew celebrated with cheers and applause. They had done it. The experimental faster-than-light drive worked perfectly. "Captain, you need to see this." Lieutenant Bora pointed at her screen. Her voice was excited but careful. She was the tactical officer, trained to spot danger before it arrived. Taimin walked over and looked at what she was showing him. His eyes went wide. On the screen were structures that seemed impossible. Massive rings circled around distant stars, capturing their energy. There were hundreds of them spread across the sector. This was not natural. This was technology far beyond anything Earth had ever built. "Are we detecting any ships?" Taimin asked. "Nothing yet, but these structures are active. Someone built them and someone maintains them." Bora ran her scans again. "Captain, I think we just found proof that we are not alone in the universe." The celebration on the bridge stopped. Everyone turned to look at the screens. For centuries, humans had wondered if other intelligent life existed. They had searched and hoped and dreamed. Now the answer was right in front of them. But Taimin felt worry growing in his chest. Advanced technology meant advanced civilizations, and humanity had no idea if they would be friendly. "All stations, battle readiness level 2. Communications, start recording everything. Science team, gather all data you can." Taimin kept his voice calm. His crew needed to see confidence, not fear. "This is first contact protocol. We document everything and we stay alert." The crew moved quickly to their stations. The party atmosphere disappeared and was replaced with focused work. Engineer Hyunsik called from the engine room. His voice came through the speakers. "Captain, the experimental drive needs 12 hours to recharge before we can jump again. We are stuck here until then." "Understood. Keep working on it." Taimin turned to his communications officer. "Sangwoo, prepare a first contact message. Standard greetings in all major Earth languages plus mathematical sequences. Friendly but cautious." Sangwoo nodded. He was the youngest bridge officer. Only 26 years old, but he was brilliant with languages and signals. "Starting now, Captain. Should I broadcast it?" "Not yet. Let's see if anyone notices us first." They did not have to wait long. Less than 2 hours later, Bora's screen lit up with alerts. "Multiple contacts, approaching fast. I count 15 ships, various sizes. They are surrounding us." The alien vessels appeared on screen. They were beautiful in a way that seemed almost artistic. Smooth curves and glowing panels covered their hulls. They moved with perfect coordination, forming a sphere around the Dauntless. Humanity's exploration ship suddenly looked crude and basic compared to these elegant machines. "They are scanning us, Captain. Very thorough scans." Bora's hands moved across her controls. "I cannot block them. Their technology is way more advanced than ours." A signal came through. Sangwoo worked quickly to decode it. "I think they want to talk." The message is repeating. It sounds like a demand, not a greeting. "Put it through. Let's hear what they have to say." The voice that came through was translated by the ship's computer. The translation was rough but understandable. "Unidentified primitive vessel. You have entered Council space without authorization. You will power down all systems and prepare for immediate boarding. Resistance will result in your destruction. You have 5 minutes to comply." The bridge went silent. Taimin felt anger rise in his throat. The message was not a greeting between equals. It was a command from master to slave. "Sangwoo, open a channel. Let me talk to them." "Channel open, Captain. This is Captain Taimin of the Earth vessel Dauntless. We come in peace and mean no harm. We did not know this area was claimed territory. We request diplomatic dialogue and the chance to explain ourselves. We are willing to leave peacefully." The response came back quickly. "Primitive species do not request. Primitive species obey. You will submit now or be destroyed. This is council law. 4 minutes remain." Bora looked at Taimin with worry in her eyes. "Captain, their weapons are charged and ready. All 15 ships are targeting us. We cannot fight them." Taimin thought fast. Everything in his training told him to find a peaceful solution. But something else in his mind, something deeper and older, told him that submission to these aliens would be the end of human freedom. If he surrendered now, these council beings would think all humans were slaves waiting to obey. "Sangwoo, send a message to Earth. Tell them everything that happened here. Include all our scan data of these structures and ships. Mark it priority 1. Taimin turned to Hyunsik's station. "Engineering, how fast can you get the FTL drive ready?" Hyunsik's voice came back stressed but determined. "If I push it hard and skip safety checks, maybe 4 hours." But Captain, we might burn out the drive completely. Do it. We are leaving one way or another. Taman opened the channel again. Council ships, we decline your demand. We are a free people and we do not submit to threats. We will leave your space immediately. Do not try to stop us. The alien response was immediate. You have violated council law. The penalty is immediate subjugation or death. You chose death. Weapons free. The 15 alien ships opened fire. Their energy beams were incredibly powerful. But Bora was already moving. She had expected this and had the Dauntless moving before the shots reached them. The exploration ship twisted and turned in ways that seemed random, but were actually carefully calculated. They are firing in patterns, Bora shouted over the alarms. They expect us to run in a straight line. Keep us moving unpredictably. The Dauntless shook as near misses hit their shields. Dr. Yanhee's voice came from the medical bay. Casualties coming in. Minor injuries so far, but our shields will not last long under this fire. Hyunsik was doing something in engineering that technically broke every safety rule in the manual. Captain, I have an idea, but it is crazy and might kill us all. Better than definitely dying. Do it. Our experimental drive leaves a radiation wake when it jumps. If I vent that radiation now through the main engines, it will blind their sensors for maybe 30 seconds. But it will also damage our own ship. 30 seconds is enough. Bora, plot a course through their formation. We go right through the middle of them. Captain, that is suicide. That is survival. They expect us to run away. We attack instead. Hyunsik, vent the radiation on my mark. The Dauntless turned and accelerated straight toward the alien ships. Bora armed every weapon the exploration vessel had. They were mining lasers and defensive cannons, nothing meant for real war. But they would have to be enough. Now Hyunsik, the radiation burst out from the Dauntless like a small star exploding. The alien sensors went blind instantly. Their perfect formation broke as they lost track of their target. The human ship shot through the gap, firing at anything that got close. 2 alien vessels took direct hits. Another collided with a partner when their sensors failed. A 4th took damage when the Dauntless flew close enough to scrape hulls. We are through. Plot a course away from here, maximum speed. Taman watched as the alien fleet scrambled to recover. They were confused and angry. No primitive species had ever done something like this before. The Dauntless flew hard away from the council ships. Behind them, 3 alien vessels were disabled and the rest were trying to give chase. But the human ship was smaller and faster at these speeds. They pulled away slowly but surely. Hours passed. The crew worked without rest to keep the ship running and ready to jump. The alien fleet stayed behind them but never got close enough to fire again. Finally, Hyunsik gave the word they needed to hear. FTL drive ready, Captain. We can go home now. Taman looked at the screen one more time. He looked at the massive structures and the powerful fleet that was chasing them. Somewhere behind those ships was a civilization that thought it owned the galaxy, and humanity had just made them very angry. Take us home. Earth needs to know what is coming. The Dauntless jumped to faster-than-light speed and disappeared. Behind them, the Council Fleet Commander sent a message to his leaders. It was a simple message, but it would change the galaxy forever. The primitives refused submission and escaped. They are returning to their homeworld. Request permission to assemble Warfleet and eliminate the threat before it spreads. Permission was granted immediately. The Council had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years without challenge. They would not let one ship of primitives change that. They would go to Earth with overwhelming force and remind humanity of its place in the universe. But they did not understand what they had just started. They did not know that humans were different from every other species they had conquered. They did not know that humanity had never learned to kneel. And they did not know that bringing a warfleet to Earth was the biggest mistake the Council would ever make. The message from the Dauntless reached Earth 30 days before the Council warfleet would arrive. 30 days to prepare, 30 days to decide humanity's future, 30 days before one vessel's refusal to submit would turn into a war that would set the entire galaxy on fire. The Council fleet emerged at the edge of the solar system like a wave of metal and light. 500 vessels in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the distant sunlight. Each ship was enormous, built to inspire fear and demonstrate power. The smallest Council ship was 3 times the size of Earth's largest warship. The World Destroyer-class vessels at the center of the formation were like floating cities, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. Overlord Thex Prime's message broadcast on all frequencies. His voice carried the weight of 800 years of unquestioned authority. Humans of Earth, your rebellion ends now. Your vessel violated Council space and refused lawful orders. The penalty is subjugation. Power down all weapons and military vessels immediately. Submit and you will be absorbed into the Council. Resist and your world will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to comply. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Captain Taemin looked at his crew. Bora was focused on her tactical screens. Hyunsik was making last adjustments to the engines. Yeonhee had medical teams ready. Sangwoo had his hand ready on the communications panel. They all knew what was coming. Sangwoo, send the response, Taemin said quietly. The young officer took a breath and pressed the button. The message was short. Just one word in every Earth language and in the Council's language. No, the hour passed. Earth's 43 warships held their positions. They were scattered throughout the inner solar system in small groups of 2 or 3 vessels. No formations, no patterns, just waiting. Commander Vren watched the timer count down. He had hoped the humans would surrender. Part of him wanted them to live even as slaves, but another part of him was curious. What would these strange creatures do against impossible odds? Time is up, Overlord, Vren reported. The humans have not responded. Then we will speak to them in the only language primitives understand. Weapons free. Destroy their military vessels. Target their major cities. Make this quick and absolute. The Council fleet advanced in perfect formation. They moved as one unit. 500 ships acting like a single organism. Their formation was beautiful and terrifying. Every ship knew its place. Every weapon was targeted. This was the power that had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. They expected the human ships to scatter and run. They expected panic and chaos and quick defeat. Instead, the human vessels charged directly at them. Insane, Vren muttered. They are attacking us. The 43 human ships split into 12 groups and came at the Council fleet from different angles. They moved erratically, weaving and dodging in patterns that seemed random. Their speed varied constantly. Their approach vectors made no tactical sense. Bora's plan was in action. Every human captain had been told the same thing. Be unpredictable. Make them guess. Give them nothing to calculate or expect. And above all, create chaos. The first exchange of fire was devastating. Council energy beams lanced out with precise accuracy. 3 human ships took direct hits. Their shields collapsed and hulls melted. But the other human vessels were not where the Council targeting systems predicted they would be. Shots that should have been certain hits struck empty space. Then the humans fired back. They did not use energy weapons like the Council expected. Instead, thousands of kinetic missiles and railgun rounds filled space. Simple metal moving at incredible speeds. The Council shields, optimized for energy weapons, proved far less effective against solid matter. The first Council ship took a direct hit from a railgun round. The slug punched through shields that should have stopped it and tore through the hull. Atmosphere vented into space. The ship listed and fell out of formation. 2 more Council vessels took missile hits. Their crews had never experienced physical impacts before. The shaking and G-forces confused them. Their responses slowed. How are they doing this? Thex Prime demanded. They are primitives. Their ships should be scrap metal by now. Vren watched his tactical display with growing alarm. They are not fighting like any species we have encountered. They have no formation, no coordination that I can see. Yet they are working together somehow. And their weapons are crude but effective. A human tactic Bora had planned unfolded perfectly. 3 human ships lured a Council squadron into the asteroid belt. The Council ships followed, confident in their superior firepower. But the asteroids were not empty. Hyunsik's teams had spent weeks placing hidden weapons throughout the belt, mining charges, missile batteries, and simple kinetic launchers. The Council squadron flew into a trap. Explosions came from every direction. Asteroids that seemed natural suddenly became weapons platforms. The Council ships had shields designed for straight-line combat, not omnidirectional attacks. 5 Council vessels were disabled in minutes. The 3 human ships that led them there escaped with minor damage. Dr. Yeonhee's discovery proved valuable immediately. The Council crews began showing signs of stress after just 15 minutes of chaotic combat. Their genetic modifications, designed for peaceful cooperation, made them vulnerable to the confusion and fear of battle. Human crews could function for hours in high-stress situations. Council crews began making mistakes after less than half an hour. Sangwoo was broadcasting on every frequency. He was not sending tactical data, which would help the Council. Instead, he was playing human war music. ancient songs about defiance and victory against impossible odds. The sounds confused and disturbed the council crews. They had never encountered psychological warfare before. Warriors of old Earth, we remember you now. Vikings sailing into certain death-singing battle songs. Spartans at Thermopylae refusing to yield. Every human who ever stood against impossible odds. Their spirits are with us today. His words were broadcast to Earth as well. Billions of humans watched the battle on their screens. They saw their tiny fleet facing the massive council armada. They saw ships explode and friends die, but they also saw humans fighting with courage and creativity that the galaxy had never witnessed. The battle raged for 2 hours. The council fleet lost 47 ships. Some were destroyed completely. Others were disabled and drifting. The humans lost 8 vessels. The math seemed to favor the council. They had far more ships remaining. But the psychological impact was enormous. For the first time in 3,000 years, the council fleet retreated. Not because they were defeated, but because they were confused and needed to regroup. Vren ordered the fleet to pull back beyond weapons range. His crews needed time to recover from the shock of facing an enemy that did not behave according to any known tactical doctrine. "This is impossible," one of Vren's officers said. His voice shook with stress. "We outnumber them 12 to 1. We have superior technology. How did we lose 47 ships to 8 of theirs?" "Because they do not fight like anyone we have ever faced," Vren said. He pulled up data on Earth. Their planet has gravity 30% higher than Council standard. Their atmosphere is toxic to most species. Their world is covered in predators that hunt in packs. Humans evolved to survive all of that. They are natural fighters, and we gave them a reason to fight. On Earth, the temporary victory was celebrated, but everyone knew this was just the first battle. The Council still had over 400 ships. The humans had 35 vessels left. The odds were still impossible. Captain Taman gathered his surviving captains for a quick meeting. They used tight beam communications to avoid Council interception. "We hurt them today. We showed them we are not easy prey, but they will come back harder. We need to make every shot count from now on." "The kinetic weapons worked better than expected," another captain reported. "Their shields are not designed for physical impacts. We should focus on that." "Agreed. Bora, coordinate with all ships. Share the tactics that worked. Discard the ones that failed." Taman looked at the faces on his screen. Some were young, some were old. All were determined. "We are still alive. That is more than they expected. Let's make sure we keep surprising them." The Council fleet prepared for a second attack, but this time they adjusted their tactics. They spread out more. They improved their shields against kinetic weapons. They assigned specialists to predict human unpredictability, even though that was a contradiction that hurt their heads to think about. Overlord Thex Prime watched the tactical replays again and again. His perfect order had been disrupted. His overwhelming force had been temporarily stopped by a handful of primitive ships. This should not be possible. His rage grew with each viewing. "I want every ship to target Earth itself on the next attack," he ordered. "Forget the human military. Destroy their cities. Kill billions. Make them understand the price of defiance." "Overlord, that would be genocide," Vren said carefully. "We have never destroyed an entire species before. The Council's mandate is to bring order, not extinction." "The Council's mandate is obedience," Thex Prime's voice thundered. "These humans have rejected order. They inspire others to do the same. I have reports of unrest on 18 worlds, 18, all because these primitives refuse to kneel. If we do not make an absolute example of them, the entire Council structure will collapse. Prepare the world destroyer weapons." Vren felt something cold in his chest. He was a soldier. He had fought in border conflicts and suppression actions. The plan was insane. Every engineer who heard it said so. Every scientist who ran the numbers said it would not work. But Bora had learned something important about humans during this war. Sometimes the impossible was just something nobody had tried yet. "We cannot move Earth," Admiral Park said. "That is basic physics." "We do not need to move Earth," Bora explained. "We just need to move it enough. A few 100 kilometers. Just enough so their targeting is wrong when they fire." Hyunsik was already working on the calculations. Every ship in the fleet focuses their main engines at specific points on Earth's surface. Not to push the planet, but to push against its gravitational field. We create a temporary imbalance. Earth shifts slightly in its orbit. "Slightly," Dr. Yanhee said. "At orbital speeds, my slightly means thousands of kilometers by the time their beams reach us. It will destroy most of our ships, Taemin said. The heat and stress of focusing all that energy will burn out our engines. We will be defenseless afterward. But Earth will be alive, Bora replied. And that is what matters. The word went out to all 35 remaining human ships. Every captain understood what they were being asked to do. Sacrifice their vessels to save their world. Not one of them hesitated. Every single ship confirmed they were ready. The Council fleet completed their weapons charge. The 12 world destroyer vessels formed a firing line. Each one carried enough power to burn a continent. Together they could turn Earth into a dead rock. Commander Vren gave the order to target the major population centers. His voice was flat and emotionless. Inside, he felt shame for the first time in his life. Fire in 60 seconds, the weapons officer reported. On Earth, every screen showed the countdown. Billions of people held their breath. Parents held their children. Lovers held each other. They knew what was coming. Ambassador Hee-jin stood at the United Nations building and watched the sky. If these were her last moments, she wanted to face them with her eyes open. All ships in position, Bora reported. Beginning synchronized engine burn in 10 seconds. 35 human vessels turned their engines toward Earth. They fired at maximum power, focusing incredible energy at specific points. The gravitational field around Earth twisted and strained. Physics screamed in protest. But slowly, impossibly, Earth began to shift. Council weapons firing now, Sang-woo reported. 12 beams of concentrated energy lanced across space. They moved at near light speed. Each one was powerful enough to boil oceans and crack continents. They targeted where Earth was supposed to be in exactly 2.3 seconds, but Earth was no longer there. The planet had shifted 300 kilometers out of its predicted position. The beams missed. They burned through empty space where Earth should have been and vanished into the void beyond. For a moment, the galaxy held its breath. The impossible had happened. Humans had moved their world to dodge an attack. Then the price came due. The 35 human ships that had focused all their power to save Earth began to die. Their engines burned out, their power systems overloaded. Their hulls glowed red from the heat. One by one, they went dark and silent. They had saved Earth, but now they drifted helpless in space. All ships report critical damage, Bora said. Her voice was calm, but tears ran down her face. We cannot maneuver. We cannot fight. We are sitting targets. The Council fleet detected the human vulnerability immediately. Vren saw that every human ship was disabled. They could be destroyed with ease now. He prepared to give the order. Then he stopped. Something was wrong. This did not feel like victory. It felt like murder. Commander, the human ships are broadcasting, his communications officer said. The same message from all 35 vessels. Vren listened to Sang-woo's voice one more time. We made our choice. Earth lives. That is enough. If you want to destroy us now, then do it. But know that you are not warriors defeating enemies. You are executioners killing helpless victims. The galaxy is watching. Show them who you really are. The message was broadcast on every frequency. 40,000 worlds heard it. They heard humans accept death to save their world. They heard the challenge to the Council. And on 18 worlds, the underground movements became open rebellions. The first planet to declare independence was called Kelrath. They were a species conquered 400 years ago and genetically modified for compliance. But Dr. Yan He's broadcasts about the Council's genetic engineering had reached them. Some of their scientists had checked. They found the truth. They were slaves modified to serve. The humans' example gave them courage. They declared independence and disabled the Council monitoring stations in their system. Within hours, 17 more worlds followed. Some were recently conquered. Some had been under Council control for thousands of years. All of them had one thing in common. They had watched humans refuse to submit, even facing extinction. If humans could stand against the Council, maybe others could too. Overlord, we have reports of open rebellion on 18 worlds, Vren reported. They are citing the human example. Our control structure is destabilizing. Thex Prime's rage was like a physical force. This is what happens when you show mercy to primitives. Destroy the human ships immediately. Then we will deal with these rebellions one by one. Vren looked at his screen. He saw the 35 human vessels drifting helpless. Their crews were still alive but could not move or fight. Destroying them would be easy, but it would also prove the humans right. It would show that the council maintained control through fear and murder, not justice and order. "I need clarification, Overlord," Vren said carefully. "The human ships are disabled, but their crews live. By council law, defeated enemies who cannot fight are to be taken prisoner, not executed. Council law does not apply to species who reject the council," Thex Prime shouted. "Destroy them now." "That is a direct order." Vren had been a loyal council officer for 300 years. He had followed every order without question. His genetic modifications made obedience natural and easy. But something had changed. Watching the humans fight with such courage had awakened something in him. Something that had been sleeping under layers of genetic conditioning. A question that should never be asked. What if the council is wrong? "No," Vren said. The word felt strange in his mouth. He had never refused an order before. "I will not execute helpless prisoners. That is not war. That is murder." Silence fell across the command channel. Every officer in the council fleet heard Vren refuse a direct order from the Overlord. It should have been impossible. Genetic conditioning should have made refusal unthinkable, but Vren had done it anyway. "You dare refuse me?" Thex Prime's voice shook with shock and rage. "You are relieved of command. I will have you executed for treason." "Then execute me," Vren said calmly. "But I will not commit genocide. Any officer who wishes to follow the Overlord's orders may do so. I will not stop you. But know that the galaxy is watching. Every species will see what you do today. Choose wisely." Not a single ship in the Council fleet fired on the disabled human vessels. Vren's words had done what human weapons could not. They had made the Council officers think. They had created doubt, and doubt was the first step toward freedom. On Earth, people watched in amazement. The Council fleet had them at their mercy but was not attacking. Something was happening within the enemy ranks. Something important. Thex Prime realized he was losing control. If he could not enforce his orders, if even his top military commander could refuse him, then the entire Council structure was collapsing. He needed to reassert dominance immediately and absolutely. "All ships, this is Overlord Thex Prime. Commander Vren is removed from command and declared traitor. I am taking direct control of the fleet. We will jump to the rebel worlds and destroy them one by one. Let the galaxy see what happens to those who defy the Council. After we finish with the rebels, we return to Earth and finish what we started." Some ships in the Council fleet followed the order. They prepared to jump to the rebel worlds. But others did not. Vren's defiance had shown them something they had never imagined. That they could choose. That orders could be questioned. That maybe, just maybe, the Council was not always right. 47 Council ships broke formation and moved to defend the disabled human vessels. Vren's ship was the first. Others followed. They positioned themselves between the helpless human ships and the rest of the Council fleet. "This is Commander Vren to all Council forces. I am declaring a ceasefire. The humans fought with honor. They deserve to be treated with honor. Any ship that fires on the humans will have to go through me first. 400 Council ships against 47 rebels and 35 disabled human vessels. The odds were terrible. But something had changed in the galaxy. The humans had shown that defiance was possible. Vren had shown that even Council officers could choose freedom over obedience. And on 18 worlds, entire civilizations were rising up against their masters. Ambassador He Jin received a communication request. It was from Vren himself. She accepted, not knowing what to expect. "Ambassador Hyejin, I am Commander Vren of the Council fleet. I wish to request formal diplomatic negotiations. I believe this war was a mistake." The news of the doomsday weapon spread across the galaxy in hours. Thex Prime made no secret of it. He broadcast his intentions openly, wanting everyone to know the price of defiance. 500 star systems would be destroyed. Earth, the 18 rebel worlds, and hundreds of others that had shown sympathy to the rebellion. Billions would die. Captain Taemin's ship was still disabled, floating near Earth with the other human vessels. But Hyun-sik and his engineering teams were working miracles. They pulled parts from destroyed ships. They rewired systems in ways that manufacturers said were impossible. They pushed human creativity and desperation to the absolute limit. "I can get maybe 15 ships operational," Hyun-sik reported. His voice was exhausted but determined. "Not fully functional, maybe 60% power, but they can move and fight." "That is 14 more ships than I expected," Taemin said. "How long?" 20 hours if we skip all safety checks and pray nothing explodes." Prayer might be all we have left. Do it. Commander Vren was having similar conversations with his 47 ships. Many had taken damage protecting the humans. But his crews were working with new energy. They were no longer following orders. They were choosing to fight. That choice made all the difference. The 18 rebel worlds were mobilizing everything they had. Ancient ships that had not flown in centuries were pulled from storage and museums. Civilian vessels were armed with whatever weapons could be fitted. The rebels knew they could not match the Council's remaining 400 ships in technology or training. But they had something the Council had lost. They had hope. Ambassador Hyojin worked frantically to coordinate the resistance. She had gone from Earth's diplomat to leader of a galactic alliance in just weeks. Her office was chaos, filled with representatives from different species, all speaking through translators, all desperate to save their worlds. We need to destroy the doomsday weapon before it fires. Admiral Park stated the obvious problem. It is on Thex Prime's flagship at the center of his fleet, protected by 400 warships. We have maybe 60 combat-capable vessels total. Even with the rebels, we are outnumbered 6-1. Then we do not fight all 400 ships, Bora said. She had been studying the Council fleet formation for hours. We just need to reach the flagship, one shot. One chance, Dr. Yan He had been working on something else. She had been studying the data on Council genetic modification and had made a breakthrough. I can create a virus that breaks the compliance conditioning. I tested it on volunteers from Vren's crew. It does not hurt them, but it frees their minds. They can think independently for the first time in their lives. Can you make enough for the entire Council fleet? Hyojin asked. Not nearly enough, maybe enough for a few thousand individuals. But if we could get it to key personnel, officers who could spread it to others, it might cause enough confusion to give us a chance. It was a desperate plan built on a dozen impossible steps, but it was the only plan they had. Sang-Woo would broadcast the Liberation virus transmission codes. Any Council ship that downloaded the files would expose their crew to the virus. It would not force them to join the rebels, but it would give them the choice. And choice was what started revolutions. The 48-hour countdown continued. Hyun-Sik's teams worked without sleep to restore the human ships. The rebels gathered their forces. The galaxy watched and waited to see if freedom would survive or if Thex Prime's madness would burn everything to ash. 24 hours before the doomsday weapon would fire, the combined rebel fleet gathered. 15 barely functional human ships, 47 Council defector vessels, and 83 rebel ships from 18 different worlds. 145 vessels total against 400. The numbers were terrible, but they were all the galaxy had. Taemin addressed the combined fleet. His words were translated into dozens of languages and broadcast to all the ships. We are here because one day my ship stumbled into Council space. We were explorers seeking knowledge and peace. We were met with demands and threats. We refused to submit. That refusal started a war. But it also started something else. It showed the galaxy that freedom is possible, that obedience is not inevitable, that even when facing impossible odds, saying no can change everything. He paused and looked at the faces on his screens. Humans, yes, but also dozens of other species, all different. All united by one simple idea. Freedom was worth fighting for. In a few hours we will attack the Council flagship. Many of us will not survive. But if we can destroy that doomsday weapon, if we can stop Thex Prime's madness, then our sacrifice will mean something. The galaxy will remember that when tyranny threatened everything, free beings stood together and fought back. Let's go remind them why freedom matters. The fleet jumped to the Council capital system. Thex Prime's 400 ships were waiting. The flagship sat at the center, a massive vessel that was more space station than ship. The doomsday weapon was charging inside, drawing power from a dozen reactors. In 20 hours it would be ready to fire. All ships begin the attack, Taemin ordered. The rebel fleet came in from multiple directions. They used every trick the humans had taught them. No formations, no patterns, pure calculated chaos. The Council fleet tried to respond, but their training failed them. They expected orderly battle. They got confusion. Sang-Woo began broadcasting the Liberation virus codes. Council ships, download these files at your own risk. They contain information your overlord does not want you to see. They contain a choice. Stay loyal to Thex Prime and help him commit genocide. Or break free and choose your own path. The decision is yours. Dozens of Council ships downloaded the files before their officers could stop them. The virus spread through their computer systems and into the neural implants most council species used. It did not force them to do anything. It just removed the genetic blocks that prevented them from questioning orders. For the first time in their lives, thousands of council crew members could actually think freely. The results were immediate. Some ships continued fighting. Their crews chose loyalty to the council even with free will. But others stopped. Their crews argued among themselves, shocked by the ability to disagree with each other. Some ships turned and joined the rebels. Others simply withdrew from the battle, overwhelmed by their first experience of real choice. The council fleet's perfect coordination collapsed. Ships that had moved as one unit now acted independently. Some attacked the rebels. Some did nothing. Some attacked other council ships. The orderly formation became chaos. Bora saw the opening. "All human ships with me. We are going for the flagship." The 15 human vessels, damaged and barely functional, charged directly at the center of the council fleet. It was suicide. Dozens of council ships moved to intercept them. Energy beams and missiles filled space. 2 human ships exploded immediately. 3 more took critical damage and fell behind. But the remaining 10 kept going. Vren's ships covered the human advance. His 47 vessels fought like demons to keep the council ships away from the humans. Vren himself led the charge, his ship taking hit after hit but never stopping. "Get through! We will hold them here." The rebel fleet from 18 worlds hit the council lines from all directions. They were outmatched in technology and training, but they fought with the fury of people who had been enslaved and were finally free. Every ship that fell took council vessels with it. The space around the council capital became a graveyard of burning metal and dying dreams. 8 human ships reached the flagship. Taemin's Dauntless was in the lead, followed by 7 others. The flagship's defenses activated. Automated weapon systems fired thousands of rounds per second. Another human ship exploded. 2 more took damage so severe they could not continue. 5 ships remained. 5 ships against a vessel that was 20 times their size. 5 ships to save 500 star systems. "Hyunsik, we need every weapon we have ready to fire," Taemin ordered. "One shot. We will not get another chance." "Captain, our weapons are not strong enough to penetrate the flagship's armor," Hyunsik said. "Even all 5 ships together cannot do enough damage. Then we do not shoot the armor. We shoot each other's missiles. Create a chain reaction. Amplify the explosion." It was insane. It was impossible. It was exactly the kind of human thinking that had gotten them this far. The 5 human ships positioned themselves in a specific pattern. Each loaded their most powerful kinetic missiles. They aimed not at the flagship but at the missiles from the other ships. "Fire on my mark," Taemin said. 3, 2, 1, mark. 5 missiles launched. They collided in perfect synchronization above the flagship. The explosions combined and amplified. The chain reaction created a blast equivalent to a small nuclear weapon. The shockwave hit the flagship's shields and overloaded them. The armor beneath cracked, and inside the Doomsday weapon's delicate charging systems shattered. "Direct hit," Bora shouted. "The Doomsday weapon is destroyed." But the victory came with a price. The blast that destroyed the weapon also caught the 5 human ships. Taemin's Dauntless tumbled through space, hull breached, systems failing. The other 4 ships were in similar condition. They had saved the galaxy, but they were dying.